a future Hall of Famer in Chris Paul, his situation with the Phoenix Suns. So Chris Haynes reported this first. Suns have notified Chris Paul he will be waived, making him one of the top free agents this offseason, the league sources tell at NBA on TNT. But Shams Charania said this: the Suns and Chris Paul are exploring multiple options, including a trade, stretching his contract, and waiving or re-signing him in free agency. Phoenix expected to discuss trades ahead of Paul's June 28th contract date, which we know is within the next 3 weeks.
Some of that can happen.
So Chris Paul got cut, and I kind of want to talk about it. Chris Paul, after playing how many years with the Suns? I think it was, let's see, 3 years with the Suns. Is now leaving the team, and he got cut. I don't think it's official yet, but the Suns are like about to cut him. So in this last season, he averaged 14 points, 4 rebounds, and 9 assists on 44% shooting. Now, on the surface, this seems like okay. Like, it's not like the only thing that's really down is his point production, but he's been really bad. And I would say the real thing that's dipped, not only has his mid-range shot not been there, his three-point shot's not good at all, but also his playmaking is not as good, and then his defense has fallen off a cliff. So it's unfortunate, but I think this is a move that the Suns not needed to make necessarily, but they took $10 million off their cap, I think, because now they only have a $15 million cap hit instead of like a $25 million cap hit, and not all the money was guaranteed, so it's probably good that they cut him now. But really in this video I want to talk about, is Chris Paul still good? And if he is, what team? Everybody's saying the Lakers. I think he could go to the Lakers. It's not a bad destination for him. I just feel like whenever there's a free agent, somebody says the Lakers, you know what I'm saying? And is it the most realistic option? I don't think so. Because I really do think LeBron's trying to get Kyrie. And they already have D'Lo. I don't know if he's going back to the Lakers. They're going to sign Austin Reeves back. About 4 years. I think they said they were going to match anything up to $100 million for Austin Reeves. The initial was 4 years, $50 million. That's what most teams were looking to offer. But now that he's been playing really well in the playoffs, teams are going to up that price. So you'll see like teams like the Pacers, like those young teams. Even the Kings could probably dish out some money for him. But I just don't think the Lakers are a viable option for Chris Paul at this stage, unless he's taking like a giant pay cut to play. But let me talk about if Chris Paul is really good. Chris Paul is okay. Now, like I said, defensively, just everything from his physicality to his lateral movement to his footwork to his effort is all went down. And then his just regular skill and athleticism has went down. So Chris Paul's not that good of a defender. He's not. He's actually terrible. So now it's like, what does he bring offensively to a team? And he's always going to be a good playmaker. that will never go away. Like LeBron is still always a good playmaker, even at age 38. I think Chris Paul like 37. Let me check his age real quick. Um, or 30. He's actually, yeah, he's as old as LeBron. He's 38. So at this point, his mid-range shot has fallen off. In his prime, he was elite, one of the greatest mid-range shooters of all time. Now he's just okay. Like he's pretty good, I guess. And his three-point shot is not good at all. Can't really shoot that well on the three-point line. Now, in his prime, he wasn't a knockdown shooter, but he can get you a bucket at any time from the three-point line in his prime, and he's not like that anymore. So, really, the only thing that has really sustained is his playmaking, and even that has went down, playmaking and passing. Even those two have went down. So his real value is literally just to be a floor general and a good passer, a good passing lob threat, occasional mid-range pull-up, occasional mid-range fadeaway, the occasional mid-range shots, occasionally get into the basket. So it'll be like he'll just be like it's a good comparison. Like um he'll be like D'Angelo Russell with better playmaking, I guess. Like playoff D'Angelo Russell with better playmaking. That's why. Because if you guys didn't know, D'Angelo Russell was really bad in the playoffs. So, shooting wise, everything wise. So yeah, D'Angelo Russell with better playmaking, or like like a like yeah, I don't have any comparison for Chris Paul really. Um, he's just gonna be a guy who has pretty good playmaking, and that's about it. Get you a bucket from time to time. When I mean time to time, he should only be taking like 8 shots a game, maybe 10, 12, if the offense allows for that. But now, what team do I see him going to? Bucks, I don't think is a bad option. So your starting lineup would be, because I don't think Chris Paul would be taking a bench role, unless he does, and I'm wrong about him. But like you see this with former stars a lot, like Carmelo, Russ. Now Russ, at the end of his when he was with the Lakers, was really willing to take a bench role, but like we see this with guys like Carmelo Anthony, or like aging stars, where they just don't want to take a bench role. They think they're better than what they are. Like they know they've declined, but they think they still got it. You know what I'm saying? When they don't. And it happens with a lot of stars. Like former stars. I mean, I guess for guys like Steph Curry and KD and LeBron, there is no bench role because like LeBron's still good at 38, but a lot of guys are not willing to go off the bench. Like Gary Payton, good example, I guess. don't want to say the other guy's name. Karl Malone. Guess I just said it. Scottie Pippen. Although by the time Scottie was really bad, he was just out of the league. So, I mean, that's one thing. Hakeem. I don't know what the actual dispute was about, but he left the Rockets. I don't know what team he went to, but he left the Rockets to have a better role with another organization and was trash on his other team. So, but yeah, there's a lot of examples of guys. I think Melo's probably the most well known, and AI is one of them, where he just didn't want to come off the bench. I'm pretty sure he was on the Pistons and he said, "Trade me," to like one of the like whoever the GM was. I think it was Joe Dumars. He was like, "Trade me," because he was off the bench and he didn't want to be that. And there's a lot of stars like that. But what I'm trying to say is, if Chris Paul's going to get a job, he's going to need to have a reduced role. He's going to have to know that he's not the same player that he was. So like I was saying, I think the Bucks would be a good fit. Your starting lineup would be Chris Paul, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez. And I think that takes some pressure off of Drew Holiday to be the main ball handler and playmaker. Although he's pretty good at it, Chris Paul's probably better at it. And this will relieve Chris Paul of taking all of the shots. He doesn't have to shoot, which is good in the grand scheme of things. I would be concerned about this lineup spacing. Like maybe in the 2000s, this lineup would be super dominant, but the spacing on this team is not great. Drew Holiday has historically dipped in the playoffs, shooting-wise. True shooting percentage has went down like 8% in some series, like really bad. Chris Middleton, just off of a torn ACL or whatever injury he had. Hopefully, the year back, which would be 2024 season, would get him ready for the playoffs. Brook Lopez, not that good of a shooter. I guess he's a good big man shooter. I don't really know. But in general, he's not good. Giannis, obviously, not a shooter. And like I said, Chris Paul's not good. So the only thing I'd be concerned about is that team spacing. Let's see, another team. I'm thinking strictly championship teams. Maybe he could go to the Heat. I don't really like the Heat that much, to be honest. Now, it would relieve some playmaking off of Jimmy Butler. Some playmaking duties off of Jimmy Butler. But if I'm the Heat, I'm going for Damian Lillard, because I think that will put you over the top. Dame, Jimmy, and Bam will definitely put you over the top. In terms of the Sixers, for Chris Paul, I don't know if I like the fit there. Especially if they're keeping James Harden. I don't know if they're keeping James Harden. If they're not keeping James Harden, then you sign Chris Paul to like a $5 million deal. trade Tobias Harris for like role players around Embiid. Let Tyrese Maxey grow into your second option. Then roll from there. Out west, if Russ doesn't go back to the Clippers, then I guess Chris Paul going back to the Clippers isn't that bad of an option. But the main thing is, what is that team going to look like without Kawhi and Paul George in the lineup? You know what I'm saying? Like, that team's going to be bad. They might miss the playoffs if Kawhi and Paul George keep missing games. And they have Chris Paul to substitute. You know? So, I think he should go to the Bucks. That's my personal opinion. I think that's his best chance to win a championship and to be starter and a part of something bigger than him, really. But at this point in your career, he's not going to be the second option on our championship team. He's not going to be the first option. I don't even know if he could be the third option on a championship team. So that's that. So yeah, I think Chris Paul should go to the Bucks. Makes a lot of sense. I think there's a lot of things that the Bucks need to change. Hopefully, Adrian Griffin will fix their problems. But the real thing that the Bucks need to do is adjustments. Mike Budenholzer wasn't doing that for him, and I've said numerous times that Mike Budenholzer is not a great coach. Hopefully Adrian Griffin is. Hopefully he can use Giannis in more actual play sets instead of Giannis bring up the ball, Giannis drive from top of the key, you know. They actually move Giannis off ball. They make Giannis the screener. They do off-ball actions with Chris Middleton, all that stuff. So I think Chris Paul would fit in nicely. So that's really it. What do you guys think about Chris Paul getting cut? It's interesting. But I think it was needed for the Suns. New ownership's in, new direction. So I'll see you guys later. Bye.